What is up, everyone? Chris and Sherigio here, coming to you from Beyond the Veil. We were just hanging out this evening. It is 3:33, and we were just hanging out, just talking about just love, happiness, a lot of uplifting vibrations. There's major shifts going on right now in our own consciousness. We're hoping that you guys and gals out there are also feeling it too, and maybe open up the phone lines to 612-398-0600. We will talk about the call-in number, or give out the call-in number throughout the course of the broadcast. But we just wanted to talk about how blessed we feel to be surrounded by such wonderful people here at Beyond the Veil, the BTV Tribe, our Patreons over at patreon.com/BTV Tribe. We seem to be attracting people of the same frequency, and it's really amazing. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And there was one particular message that I saw. It was an exchange between an Uber driver and a customer that turned out to be a really big act of kindness. And that's what kind of inspired this whole broadcast. Like, let's just talk about love, and let's talk about, just uplifting stuff. So I think we should get into it, and everything's just totally off the cuff tonight. We don't really have anything prepared, but we want to try to stay away from the negative frequencies, everything happening in Ukraine and everything like that, and just talk about love. Let's just bring some love frequency into people's lives tonight. So I'm going to start it off by playing a song that Cherie and I worked on. We started doing it way back in 2015 or 2016, and we never finished it. And I just got inspired to finish it, and it's not quite finished yet. It's just kind of a rough cut. But let's start that off while people join the chat room. So let's do it.
Unlocking ancient mysteries from a golden ancient dynasty. Here to set you free from slavery, I fight for a long-lost majesty. Here to break the chains, here to open your eyes, go straight for the weak and sack for the blind.
This is what it sounds like when a god dies.
Too many lies and broken hearts. Ain't got no trigger but the hit restart. Two left, two come pull the shards. Set thunder and torn apart. No more lies and wooden ways. Ain't got your trust, but without betrays. No turn to hate, light turns to dark. Now set thunder what's torn apart.
This time the night's begun. The sun is set and the stars are one. This is the evening night. Initiate her sacred life.
Way she spreads her wings, you know the deal. The spot lives, all things revealed. It's getting real, so pick a side. My love and fear, it's do or die. Reclaim the light with a single eye. Come as you are, she purifies.
This is what it sounds like when a god dies.
No more darkness deep inside. I'll tell you once and show you thrice. The stage is set for sacrifice. With movies from satellites, is the age of truth. The ways are old, original transform like lead to gold.
This is what it sounds like when a god dies. This time the night's begun. The sun is set and the stars are one. This is the evening night. Initiate her sacred life. Set the candle lit, we raise her flame. The stage is set, prepare the way. The dawning of a golden age. Now let the whole world know her name.
If you deep inside the sands and dunes, stand and rise from ancient tomb. We bear the light for this final fight. One more chase to make it right. Now feel the might and feel the fire. All pure love coming back to life. We brought the rain, we brought the thunder. Now we resurrect our ancient mother.
This time the night's begun. The sun is set and the stars are one. This is the evening night. Initiate her sacred life. Set the candle lit, we raise her flame. The stage is set, prepare the way. The dawn of night, a golden age. Now let the whole world know her name. This time the night's begun. The sun is set and the stars are one. This is the evening night. Initiate her sacred life. Set the candle lit, we raise her flame. The
yeah, we started doing that like way back in like 2016, and then I just put it on the back
2017.
burner.
Yeah.
It was before we even went to Egypt, and it was about ISIS rising, obviously, and the words were prophetic, and I just finished up that last verse, and I think I want to do one more little verse. It doesn't really have that same standard of, chorus, verse. It was just more like whatever we were feeling, and oh my God, you delivered that so freaking awesome.
Aw, thank
And
you.
yeah, it was unfortunate. What I had to do is I have an old recording of it, and I had to use AI to take Cherie's vocals out to put it in the new version. And you're going through a lot of shit right now, and you delivered it so beautifully.
Aw,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, and I know with the hiatal hernia that you're experiencing, you can't get that out right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like driving with a flat tire.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
not
But that
happening.
song has to come out.
Yeah, it
and
needs to.
I mean, I wrote a whole album that I just never released, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I can go back and change a few words and make it a little more uplifting, like that song
Yeah.
that we just played. So, like I said, it was just a rough cut. Gonna edit it out of the archives, but yeah, it was all about the light of ISIS, and when we first really truly started to understand who we are. And I mean, I went through this ayahuasca experience where I was going through all my horrible things that were going on, traumas and everything like that, and even in the worst situations that I've ever been in my life. And I realized, like, she's had her wings around me the whole time.
Always.
Like, always. Like, my dad used to beat the shit out of me. And it's funny, I was interacting with a friend on Facebook, and a friend that I grew up with. And he goes, and he mentioned something about my dad, because it was a post about people's parents passing away. And he said something about my dad. And I said, well, you know my dad. You know what was going on. He goes, yeah, I remember him beating the shit out of you right in the front yard. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize, like, that was happening, like, in public in front of my friends too.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was really interesting. But, this ayahuasca experience, going back and looking at all those experiences, I realized she was right there with her wings right around me the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal. There's a scene in the movie Gods of Egypt where I think it's Hathor. She shields... I think she shields Horus.
Yeah, it was Horus.
Or
yeah.
she shields,
No, it was Osiris.
Yeah, she shields a couple. No. Osiris
Yeah, it was-
wound up getting killed by Set.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's...
Set.
Yeah, then it's
But
Horus.
I think she shields Horus, and the representation of her bringing her wings out like that and wrapping them around was very similar to the visions that I had way back then. And so that's where that energy kind of came from. And I realized, like, we're just so protected as long as we're walking our true path. And
Yeah.
I put that on my arm, and here, I'll give you a close-up of it, although you've probably seen it many times before. But it's a scarab.
It's beautiful.
And the scarab, what it is, it's how do I get this?
There you go.
The scarab means prosperity, unity, love, but it has the Isis wing protection, and then of course the sun there. And it's weird, when I got this tattoo, something changed in me, and all of a sudden, like, I felt the need to purify myself. And I mean, I was even like, on Pornhub, and I'm like, looking at, like, I've got my hand like this, and I'm flipping through videos, and I'm just like, I can't do this. I just can't. I can't look at this anymore. And something changed. So I was enjoying women stripping, and that's, I've always enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed watching beautiful women, strip, be erotic, be sexy, belly dancing, things like that, beautiful, instead of being degraded or, anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just noticed that those feelings that I had were kind of amplified once I got this tattoo here. So
The need to not degrade, and the desire to add to the beauty rather than try to take away from it, or try to that's the best way to describe it. Like, take away from it, like, take from it what makes you feel good. Instead, it's more of a, let me add beauty to this already beautiful package. That's what these symbols invoke an energy within us that is building. It's not a destructive element, it's a building element, and it's a nurturing element. That's the best way to describe it. It's more of a nurturing element where you want to nurture others and be nurtured in return. And when we're in a pattern of destructive sexuality, it's more of it's a destructive pattern rather than a constructive pattern. And so what you're doing now is you're switching to more constructive patterns for your entire life, and that includes sex, building relationships through sex rather than
that's true. Somebody
breaking
said,
down.
"Bro, did you actually say that?" And like, yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, everybody checks out, Pornhub and stuff like that. But I was actually going to make a little joke on Facebook. And the joke was, whenever Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that goes down, the whole world freaks out. But I never see anybody talking about when Pornhub goes down for some reason.
Nobody wants to admit it.
But no. I mean, this is totally, like off topic, but it's kind of on topic. But no, I mean, like masturbation and things like that, it's nothing that we should be ashamed of. As a matter of fact, it's something that, I mean, we don't have to sit there and talk about it, extensively, but I want to try to remove these taboos and dogmas that we have, and like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about this, you're not supposed to talk about that, when in fact everybody does it. And if you don't know how to please yourself, how do you know how to please your partner?
Well, certain topics of discussion shouldn't be off limits just ad hoc because they're certain topics of discussion. That's not fair, because sexuality is just as much of a part of our spirituality as anything like meditation or prayer or, things that connect us to the divine. Sex is one of those things, or it can be one of those things. And when we start getting tattoos of very powerful symbols, especially if they're very ancient, powerful symbols, then we start to want more out of all of our interactions with others, and that includes sex. And that's why, the cheap stuff isn't really doing it for us anymore.
Yeah, it never really did.
No, it never really did.
But, when you're on Pornhub, you're like, all right, let's check this out. All right, that's not doing it. Let's check that out. All right, that's not doing it.
Fast food French fries,
that's not doing it. All right, let's check that out. That's not doing it. Now it's just like the only thing that does it is like beautiful women, like, stripping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I've always liked. And it's like women of all varieties.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be perfect
a certain type,
it could be a little BBW, sexy black girls, sexy Asian girls, a little bit of a variety.
They come in all shapes and sizes.
Little eye candy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes we'll together, enjoy a little show or whatever.
Yeah.
And, there's times when you're feeling not very good, but you still want to feel good.
Yeah.
And, we'll get out our toys together and have fun like that.
Frequency
and
together.
That's the thing. When you're married for so long, you can explore sexuality in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be like penetration all the time. It doesn't have to be oral sex all the time. It doesn't have to be all that. I mean, without at the risk of getting too graphic, you had neck problems for a little bit, and I can't sit there and watch my partner trying to please me orally
and hurting herself
while she's clearly hurting her neck.
Yeah.
And likewise, if vaginal sex is hurting, I'm not going to force my partner to do that if she's
you wouldn't even enjoy it.
Because it's not. It's that's the thing. You start to like get this mutual frequency going together where you're like, hey, it's cool. We can go whatever direction here. Some nights. Again, we're getting a little bit too graphic, but it is 3:00 in the morning. Some nights you're like, oh my God, just bang the hell out of me, bang the hell out of me. Other nights it's like, I want it nice and sweet and slow. And other nights it's like, I feel kind of lazy. Let's just sit back with our toys and just
let's just
And that's in my opinion a good healthy good, healthy sexual relationship.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So I hope by us talking about this, it inspires others out there to also find creative ways to enjoy each other.
I see us as having a better sex life than most married couples out there because let me explain. Even if we were having sex 6 days a week at least, but it was, vanilla, you on top every time, no other stuff allowed, no oral allowed, nothing else allowed, no toys allowed for sure, because that's a lot of marriages that are in like conservative kind of relationships. That's what they're like. We would have a terrible sex life compared to what we have together right now because we have that element of creativity. Not only is creativity allowed, it's encouraged. And I think in relationships with other people, it's been limited. That creativity has been stifled at one point or another. You try to bring something up and they're like, oh my God, you're such a freak. And then you feel embarrassed and you never ever bring it up again, That doesn't happen with us.
We have the most open sex life.
That just doesn't happen with us.
It's fantastic.
I could probably bring up anything except like goats or something, and it would be totally fine with him.
Yeah, we draw the line at under 18 and animals.
Yeah, there you go.
And bodily fluids.
And everything else is fair game.
Other than that, it's no holds barred.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Sex is so much more than just physical. Sex is psychological. It's spiritual. As somebody mentioned in the chat, sperm retention. That's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And there are times when you want to do that. There are times when you want to hold on to as much of that energy as possible. I went 2 months one time without having an orgasm. And that was consequently right before I met you. I don't know what it was, but I was like preparing myself and all of that. And it was a very powerful thing. But at the same time, the fluids and the energies have to flow too. And so we've achieved really powerful mutual orgasms where they are like earth shattering, and you harness that spiritual energy and actually do sex magic rituals, manifestations, things like that. Just look at it like this, okay? What do people usually do when they have sex? They're usually like, vanilla sex. Oh God, oh baby, oh God, oh baby, oh God, oh baby. And 9 months later, a baby pops out. That's why when I have sex, I always go, oh God, Ferrari. Oh God, penthouse suite. Oh God, $10 million. Because that's what I want to manifest.
You're such a dork.
That's a joke that I stole from this Catholic priest. Oh, that sounded even worse.
I was about to say. Oh.
I don't think he's really a Catholic priest, but he's a comedian. But he acts like a Catholic priest.
Oh,
he might actually be
play
a Catholic
acts like a Catholic priest.
Yeah. But he says, God grants prayers, and it's very clear. You can see it during sex, and he goes into the whole spiel. But anyways, but yeah, it's that energy is such a wonderful, beautiful energy. That's probably my favorite energy of this entire matrix is sex and the mutual experiences and energy that comes along and flows with it. Yeah. And there's a time and place for everything. There's a time to be just flat out, just freaking dirty. We were watching an Andrew Dice Clay stand up just the other day, and he was going into some crazy stuff, and this was some of his newer stuff from like 2016. And he was supposed to play here in Las Vegas, and I was so excited to go see him because I got a comment on Facebook, and somebody said, "Dude, I love how you dress like a DMT Andrew Dice Clay," and I said something to the effect of, "Oh my God, I don't remember what it was, but I made like a little." What was the spider one? Along Came a Spider? How does that start out?
Little Miss Muffet.
Oh, Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. No, that's eating her curzon way. Anyways, never mind. I made a little Andrew Dice Clay joke.
Little Bo Peep.
Oh, no. I don't remember what it was. I wish I had it on the screen. But I was like...
Little Bo Peep fucked a sheep or something
like that. It was something along the lines, but I'd taken one of Andrew Dice Clay's joke and I made it DMT related. And
Ah.
it was hilarious. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I was looking forward to meeting him and to, see a show, because here in Vegas, whenever somebody's playing in a show with like 100 or 200 people, it's very easy to go backstage
Oh
and
yeah,
meet them
meet them.
and
Yeah.
do all that. I was going to show him the little Facebook post and, maybe get him to do a line back and forth with me. And, I found out that last year he got Bell's palsy. He
Oh.
woke up, couldn't feel half his face, and it was right after the vacation.
Oh, that's a shame.
He says he's still going to do shows, but it's a shame.
Man.
So yeah, that was kind of sad, but that guy was like way over the top, and like especially in the '80s, just like Sherry and I were watching him, like his early stuff, and Sherry was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this!" And even in the new one that he did back in like 2016, he's looking at this guy and he's like, he's like, "I see that look on your face, man. I see that look on your face. Okay, look, I'm a comedian. If I did half the shit that I talk about, I'd be doing 25 to life. All right, just chill out and just take the joke."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I freaking love this guy," and because he's so over the top. But how did we get on the topip of Andrew Dice
I don't
Clay?
know, but
Oh,
one
the
of my
Bell's-
batteries is dead for some reason.
I'm sorry. Here,
Do you have one?
Yeah, take mine.
Cool, thank you.
So he got Bell's palsy, and
Yeah.
it was heartbreaking to hear that. And then another young lady. I mean, I thought I wanted to keep this positive, but let me just say this too.
Spirit for life.
I found this young lady here today in a news article, and it was so sad. Her name is Katie Meyer, all-star soccer goalie, dies at 22, cause of death unknown. And I said, but if I have to guess, I could give it a shot or two. And then at the bottom, I said, look, this is very tragic. This isn't meant to be funny. It's not meant to be insensitive or anything like that. It should be a sign to wake the hell up.
Yeah.
Because why is a 22-year-old athlete in perfect health suddenly just dropping dead like that, and cause of death is unknown? So that's in the news right now. And then Andrew Dice Clay also, it happened a year ago, but I just found out about it just the other day. And it's sad what's going on, which is why, in my opinion, we need to raise the love frequency.
Yes. Yes.
And so I want to get to the story real quick. I was going to run the intro, but I want to get to the story real quick about this Uber driver. And again, I can't find that freaking that thing. It's like Facebook hates me. It's like, I'll see something on Facebook and then I'll go back and try to find it, and then all of a sudden the whole topics have changed. Like it's showing me like all this positive stuff that's making me feel good and it's uplifting and everything like that. And I'm like, hey, I want to go talk about this, and then I go try to find it, and it's nothing but Ukraine and this and that and et cetera, et cetera. And but anyways, so it wasn't an Uber driver, it was a DoorDash. So the DoorDash driver goes to do a delivery, and the text message is a reply to the guy, and he said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I moved out of state. I forgot to change my address. Keep the lunch. It's on me today." And the guy writes back, and he says, "Man, thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me." He said, "This is the place where I buried my brother, and I haven't been out here to visit his grave for a long time. And so I'm going out and I'm having lunch with my brother right now. Thank you so much." And when I read that, I was just like, my heart just like, I was like, oh my God, one little random act of kindness like that. And the guy had no idea. Completely shifted the frequency of this DoorDash driver and had such a deeper meaning to him than the guy even knew. And all he was doing is just being kind. He could have very easily called DoorDash and said, "Hey, this is the wrong address, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera."
Yeah.
But he told the DoorDash driver, "Just keep it." And the guy went and sat with his brother at his grave and had lunch with him. And I was like, oh, that is such a touching story, man. That is just, it just really grabbed my heart. So it made me start to reflect on the BTV tribe, on the people that are around us. I was talking about a couple shows ago how I did a freaking injection of the testosterone that I do in my leg, and I used one of your eyeglass cleaning patches instead of alcohol. And I took some antibiotics that had sulfa in them, and I
Yeah.
obviously have some
Yeah.
kind of reaction to sulfa.
It's like
Like you do. It's not like
hypersensitivity,
you do where your whole face blows up.
And I stopped breathing.
But
Yeah.
I just felt like shit for like 2 days. I just couldn't take them.
Yeah.
But, it started to go away, but it started to come back. So I went to the ER in the middle of the night last night. There's a little satellite ER. They get you in and out in like 10 minutes. It's really quick. But that's where we went when you broke your heel.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the same doctor. He was this hippie dude, and he's so freaking cool. And he came in and he remembered me. And the first thing he said is, "How's your wife?" And I'm like,
Aw.
she's doing, you know, she's doing okay. How's her heel? And I'm like, "You remember this?"
Yeah, he's
And he
so
goes, "Of course I
sweet.
remember you guys."
That was a year and a half ago.
That was a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was over a year. Almost a year and a half ago
Uh-huh.
now. And he comes up to me and he says, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, you know, I got this, you know, infection in my leg." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll give you a shot. We'll get you out of here really quick."
Yeah.
Then after that, he spent like 20 minutes talking to me, and he's like, "I'm so glad to hear that because I thought she was going to have surgery on that heel, and I'm surprised. Let me pull up her X-rays real quick." So he pulls up her X-rays and starts looking at her X-rays, and I said,
And
"You want to talk to her?"
pondering over them.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I'd love to talk to her." I call her
Aw.
up, and she starts talking to him, and they're just talking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing well. You know, who treated you, who saw you, you know, this and that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera."
Mm-hmm.
And just somebody that cares so much. But here's the thing. The first time we saw him, number one, he came in, and we could just tell right from his energy. He was a really good person. And we always leave people with hugs. Wherever we go, wherever we can get away with it, we hug people. And we both gave him a really big hug when we left last time. And I said, "Man, thank you so much for taking care of her." So when I came in, he remembered us. And, you know, obviously I have a very unique look, but he's an ER doctor that sees hundreds of people, you know.
Oh, every week. he
What are
sees
the
hundreds of
chances that
people.
he's going to remember us? Not only remember us, but also remember the
What
specific
the problem was? Yeah.
and ask how you're doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we're just surrounded by people that
Takes
ISIS
a really special
has
person.
sent to
Yeah.
us. You know, it's amazing. You know, everybody that's caring for you right now, your upcoming surgeries, you know, they all genuinely care. And they called you and said, "Hey, these tests that we're doing are scheduled way too far out.
Yeah.
We're going to get you in quicker
Yeah.
because we need to get this stuff done quicker. We can't have you in the condition that you're in
Yeah,
right
waiting
now.
a month and a
This
half,
is
yeah.
torture."
Yeah.
And they went out of their way. And it's just, oh my God.
They're wonderful.
It's wonderful. And,
Yeah.
you know, when we went in and we met with the guy, we met with him in his office. He took his mask off. He had a little note that said, you know, you don't have to wear a mask if you don't want to. If you want to, feel free to. This was before the
Yeah.
mandates were even lifted. And he sat there and he said, you know, what she's going through right now is the worst thing a woman can go through. And she feels the worst that she can feel right now, but she's going to feel the best that she's ever felt in her life afterwards.
Yeah.
And he said, I need you to understand that this is not just a physical thing. This is a psychological thing. This is a
Yeah.
lot more. And I was like, oh, I know. I didn't tell him this, but I was like, I know. But the care that he had when he was talking to me while you were out of the room, I was like, wow, this guy really cares. Like, he really does. What are the chances, you know, that
Right.
we're going to be running into people like this? I think what it is, it's frequency. And we
Like attracts like.
attract like attracts like. And so it's always about, that's my message now, is it's always about how you interact with people, you know, especially from 2020 to 2022. I mean, right now the mandates have been lifted and all that, but when I was walking around giving people hugs back then, it was a relief to so many people. You know, when I was walking around and telling them, hey, you don't have to wear that around me. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
if they can. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to another place. Again, I don't want to say who it is because I don't
Yeah,
want
we don't want to say
you know,
anything out
but
loud.
you know, they saw my clear mask and they start going on and on and on about the vacation, and they take their mask off and they're like, I'm so glad, you know, I got to be really careful around, you know, who I talk to, and, you know, I've always have to try to, you know,
Watch what I say.
you know, watch what I say and everything like that. But it's so nice to see other people like you who get what's going on. And I was like, did you get the vacation? And she's like, hell no, I didn't get the vacation. No way. My staff is not getting the vacation. Nobody's getting the vacation. I mean, if they want to, they're welcome to, but you know, they don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are all people who are treating us, who are all of the same frequency. It's either Las Vegas or it's just like attracts like.
I think it's like attracts like.
But
yeah.
I always ask doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, weed dispensary people, restaurant managers, waitresses, waiters, blackjack dealers. Can I give you a hug?
Aw.
And 99 out of 100 times, yes, I would love it. And a nice hug. There was somebody that gave me a sideways hug the other day. Oh, was it my tattoo?
I think it's the tattoo
It was my
artist.
tattoo
yeah,
artist.
that was weird.
She gave me a sideways hug. I'm like,
I
what's
don't
with
like
the sideways hug?
hugs.
I was like, come on. And she's like, all right. And I'm like, there you go. That's better.
Yeah.
None of the sideways hug stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's
no.
weird.
But anyways, but you can really feel the energy when you hug somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to certain little restaurants here. And one thing that I like to do is I like to call the manager over to the table everywhere we go. And they're usually expecting a complaint. And when you say, I just wanted to let you know that the young lady or young man that served us was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to compliment the cooks. I wanted to compliment the chefs and the level of service here. I really appreciate it. And you will put a smile on these people's faces like you've never seen, because all they do is deal with complaints all day long. And so when you call them over and compliment them, that number one takes them by surprise, but number two, it makes their day and it raises their frequency that much more. We were at a restaurant and the food was really, really, really slow. It took freaking forever to get. And I tipped the waitress extra. And I said, the food took a long time to get here. And I said, you're probably catching a lot of shit from all the other tables. I said, here's a little bit extra. I know it doesn't make up for all the other tables, but I hope this makes your day a little bit better. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I've been catching so much crap. This cook is great, but he's just, he's dropping the ball and we're already short staffed. And, people they just don't seem to understand. And I was like, I've been a waiter before. I understand, you don't take it out on the wait staff. That's, you guys are here to serve the food. You don't make the food.
Right.
And I said, I wish more people understood that. So every time we walk in there, Chris, Cherie, how are ya? Same thing at this little Thai restaurant we went to. And this was during the whole mandates and everything like that. We walk in, Chris, Cherie, how are ya? Instead of, do you have a mask? Everybody else walks in there with masks and they're all looking at us. And we're walking in, no mask, anything like that. Chris, Cherie, how are you? Come walk up to the front, give us a hug. And then that one steakhouse that I like to go to.
Yeah.
They were at 25% capacity, 25% capacity. And the first time we went in there, this is what I did. I called the manager over to the table to tell him how great everything was, because it genuinely was. It was freaking awesome. And I said, the quality was just so good that it was so tender. The waiter really was attentive to the table and et cetera, et cetera. We became friends after that. And we had some guests from out of town. And they were at 25% capacity because that's what the restriction was.
Yeah.
And they couldn't go over that. And I said, I've got some friends from out of town. Can you get us a table? And the hostess said, no, I'm sorry. We have nothing. And the manager comes out, Chris, Cherie, how are you? What's going on? And I was like, oh, nothing. We brought some friends from out of town. I didn't think to make reservations. Don't worry about it. We got you taken care of. And boom, got us a table. One of the best ones in the house too. And then I went in there one time by myself, and I was eating by myself, and he came in, he sat down with me. He's like, would you like some company? I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? So we just start talking, all that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it all started from that one initial act of kindness, which was calling him over, complimenting him, and then building a friendship. And when you do that, you'll notice that when you go to places, people will start to treat you like friends. And the hugs, in my opinion, make a world of difference because they can feel your energy and you can feel their energy. And sometimes they'll try to give Cherie a sideways hug out of respect. And I'm like, what's up with the sideways hug?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Give my wife a real hug. He's like, really? Is it okay?
He's fine with real hugs.
Like, yeah, of course, man. Give her a hug. Come on.
A hug is a hug.
Yeah.
It'd be silly to,
So
not allow
the
her.
reason I say all this is because if you start implementing some of this in your life, I think you can see your reality around kind of changing. And then you start to draw in different kind of people. And when you do, your frequency is higher and it starts by making other people's frequency higher. You know, somebody's having a bad day. A waitress is having a bad day because the cook's fucking up. You tip her a little bit extra. Then what happens is she's in a higher frequency now, or he's in a higher frequency, and he's serving his tables better. And the next one, then more tips and more tips and more tips and more tips and more tips.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I think whenever you invest in, it's almost like a bank account of sorts where you
Oh, that's a great
yeah,
analysis.
you invest in that account with good energy that you just, give to whoever is coming across your path. I look at it this way. If somebody has come across my path and they're having a better day afterwards, then that puts a positive into that account. However, if their day is worse after their interaction with me, then that's a negative, and I'm withdrawing from that account. The more you withdraw from that account, the more negative energy you're attracting into your life. The more positive energy you add to that account, the more you're going to get in interest, and that's going to pay off. It really does pay off.
That actually goes hand in hand with what we were talking about with Nathan Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nathan, on the last show, we were talking about esoteric spiritual stuff. We were also talking about business advice. Mm-hmm. You know, I've always been customer service oriented because I've run businesses, and I value people. And as I said in the last show, money, I used to see it as, oh, it's the root of all evil. I hate money, et cetera, et cetera. But what I started seeing it as is people's energy. And it's actually called currency because it is energy.
A current.
So when you start to think about it like that, then you react differently and treat people differently based upon that. And so when I spend my money, which is my energy, somewhere, and they go above and beyond for me, then it makes me very happy because that's what I like to do for people. I like to make people happy because of that. So, going above and beyond. The last show, somebody made a comment and he said, man, I forgot to put the coupon code in and I ordered a bottle of Via Life, but you guys sent me 2 anyways. And I was like, because the energy is so much more important.
Yeah.
And
Pay it forward.
Brightened up his day, and he, was feeling like, I mean, I can only imagine, but he was probably feeling like, man, I didn't know about the coupon code, the buy one, get one free. I should have put it in there. I could have gotten another bottle.
And he ended up getting it anyway.
Then he gets another bottle anyways.
Uh-huh.
And so...
it just made his year.
Yeah. I mean, people would say that's not good business, but I would say that is excellent.
That's excellent business.
But you apply that same thing to karma, like you just said. Think of karma as a bank account.
Yep.
And you're putting good karma out, good karma out, good karma out.
Yeah.
Good karma's going to come back to you. You're going to run into those assholes every once in a while. It's inevitable, People suck. We were at Jack in the Box one time, and this was many, many, many years ago. And I said, I just want to make some people's day. And I paid for the people behind us, just completely random. And then we come back to that same Jack in the Box about, I don't know, a week later, 2 weeks later, something like that. It's the same guy. He shoves a bunch of like cheesecakes and brownies and like all kinds of stuff into our bag. And I'm like, dude, what's all this? And he goes, I remember you came through and you paid for the guy behind you. That went on for like 2 hours. And he's like, one car was just paying for the people behind him, and it just kept going and kept going and kept going.
Great.
And some asshole came in here and was like, oh, cool, thanks, and took off and broke the cycle. And he's like, but I just love the fact that you just created that energy, because everybody was so happy. And not only was everybody so happy, but they were also paying it forward too, or paying it back to the people behind them.
Keeping the chain going. Yeah.
And it made his day too, because he's like, wow, there's actually cool people out there. And so he was experiencing that whole chain of positive energy in his sphere because he was serving everybody. And he was sitting there, I can only imagine what he was thinking, but he was thinking, wow, this is just going and going and going and going. And then that one asshole that came through was probably like, fuck that guy.
Yep. Like, man, and if I was one of the workers there, I probably would have, asked the other workers, hey, do you think we should just all like pitch in and pay for this next guy, just to keep the chain going, and tell them that, oh, the guy in front of you paid for yours, just to keep it going, because this has gone on for so long that, we might as well pay for one ourselves, take one for the team. I would do that.
I did see. You have to be careful where you give your energy, though.
That is true.
If you give it to the wrong place, it will backfire.
It will backfire.
I've talked about this story before, so forgive me for being redundant, but I was in Salt Lake City, right by the temple. There was this family outside begging for money. I went to Subway. I bought them $50 worth of Subways because it was 2 parents and 2 kids. I bought cookies. I bought everything else like that. I come outside. I have a parking ticket on my car, and they're in the middle of writing it. And I said, "Look, I'm buying this for a homeless family over there. I'm not from Salt Lake. I didn't know that this was a loading zone, and I'm trying to do something nice for people." And they're like, "We don't care. Here's a parking ticket." And then I go and I give them the food. And then what happens is I see them later that night, different set of parents, same set of kids. The parents were in the alley doing meth or whatever the hell they were doing. And then I was like, oh, okay. I called the court and I said, "Can you guys please drop this?" This is what I was doing. I was trying to do the Mormon thing and help people that were in front of the temple begging. No, screw you. I'm like, all right, fine. Then I see a $50 charge on my card from the rental car company, and I see another $50 charge. And I was like, called the rental car company. I'm like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Well, it's $50 for the parking ticket and then $50 processing fee for us paying the parking ticket." And I said, "Look, I was buying somebody something to eat. Can you guys at least waive the $50 processing fee?" And they were like, "No, screw you." And I was like, God damn it. I was like, no good deed goes unpunished. But the reason is I gave my energy to the wrong people. I wasn't discerning. I wasn't thinking to myself, number one, these people are meth heads and they don't care about food. They're out begging for money for meth. And number 2, they're using those kids, But what do you do in a situation like that? You can't call CPS because then those kids are just going to wind up being trafficked.
Right. They're going to be exploited even more than they already are.
Yeah.
If you do anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
but that was a lesson. Don't give your energy. Be discerning
where it doesn't belong.
On where you give the energy. I was somewhere and I saw these 2 old ladies and they were struggling to find money in their purse to pay for their meal. And I paid for their meal and I said, don't tell them that I paid, just tell them it's complimentary on the house. And so the lady looks up and she looks at the cashier and she's like, "Oh, it's on the house today." And she's like, "Why?" And the cashier was like, "Oh, it just is." She's like, "Okay," and just walks off. And I was like, just the energy that she put off, it didn't feel right. Yeah. It wasn't like, she didn't smile. Right. She looked at it like entitled, entitled. Like,
oh, well, that's a given.
Well, yeah.
That should happen.
Yeah.
That should be
so
my
I was
reality.
Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. She may have just had a condition that,
It wouldn't have felt right to me.
It didn't feel right.
Intuitively
It made me feel afterwards like,
icky.
I shouldn't have done that.
You feel icky afterwards. Notice, because there's probably a few people, or more than a few people in the chat room that are wondering, like, how do I know the difference, between somebody that I need to be helping and somebody that, I really shouldn't be helping. The difference, you can feel it in your gut, and you can feel what it is my contribution to this person, whether that's the energy that I'm giving, and the time that I'm using out of my day to help them, or the money that I'm giving them, whatever it is that I'm giving them of myself, that energy, that currency, is it going to benefit them a year from now, or a month from now, or tomorrow? Is it going to benefit them, in a good way, or is it going to benefit them very, very short term and keep them from learning something they need to learn, so as not to get in this situation again where they need other people's help? Does that make sense?
It does. I want to say thank you to Curva. I missed a super chat earlier, but thank you, brother.
Oh, yes.
Much love.
Thanked him. I just forgot to bring it up.
Okay.
Between you.
Okay. So yeah, how do you distinguish the energy? You just have to feel it out, and it's trial and error. But most importantly, it has to come from a place of wanting to just be wanting to put good energy out, expecting nothing in return, and but I like the bank account analogy. Like you're depositing karma into your karma bank, and then you watch the interest grow. But if maybe it's a better way to look at it, like crypto. You deposit into your crypto.
Uh-huh.
If you deposit at the wrong time, you're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose big time.
Your deposit.
Uh-huh.
And some of your gains as well.
Yes.
But if you deposit at the right time, then it's gonna flourish.
There you go. That's beautiful. I love
Crypto is so volatile, it really
Yeah, it
is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was 33,000 for a Bitcoin in March of 2020, and now it's up to like 50 or 60 or something like that. And so it's just it's so volatile, but the dollar is sinking. The dollar's crashing really bad, and and then they do pump and dump schemes. You got to be careful for pump and dumps. That's when a bunch of really rich people will get together and decide they're going to buy a whole bunch of crypto all at once at a low price. They make it artificially go up, and then they sell when it's artificially high, and then it drops right back down. And we see this time and time and time and time again. With our Polygon, you are so intuitive. It is amazing how intuitive you are. You said in November, you said at the end of December, Polygon is going to hit its peak and we need to sell at the end of December. Sure enough, December 26th, Polygon hit a peak. Then it was up to $3, went back down to $1.20.
Yep.
We were too busy doing other things and not paying attention to our Polygon wallets, and watched it go all the way up and then all the way back down again.
Man.
So now we have to wait for the next time it goes up.
And that's kind of like helping somebody that, you allow them, instead of it being a mutually beneficial relationship where that you're helping somebody have a better life overall, and they know that they're being supported by good people. It's just a wonderful interaction. Instead of being like that, they did not follow that same pattern. Instead, they went in some kind of selfish direction, whether it's keeping information from you about an aspect of the story that they're telling you about why they need the money, or whether it's using your children, like, oh, well, you're using your children as a way to pull at your heartstrings. Well, my kids, what would you do if it was your kids? They'll manipulate you.
It's funny you say that,
like
because I had a whole bunch of these pulled up from Facebook, because I was just taking this evening. I was going through different messages. I think I might actually have some here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But what I do need to do is I need a battery, because I gave you mine.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll go grab it.
It's okay.
Grab it for you.
I'm going to play something real quick. I just don't know what to play. So what do you think we should play? Something uplifting.
Something uplifting.
Something with love.
Aw. Let's see. Let me think.
I think I have that Billie Jean.
Yeah, Billie Jean's pretty good.
Remix I did. But no, I don't have it immediately handy. Okay. Here's a track that I wrote that I never did lyrics to, that I'm actually working on putting lyrics together for it right now. I've got a verse down. I need to finish the other verses, but I think it's got a really good vibe. And I wrote this back in like 2014 or something like that, and then just put it off to the side. And I was looking through my computer, and I was like, oh my God, I got a bunch of old music here. Not only do I have the old music, but I actually have the actual source files too, like, the Cubase files. I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. I thought it was beats that I lost. So this is just the beat as is right now, but we're going to grab a few things. Also, if you want to call in, 612-398-0600. It's at the bottom of the screen. We would love to hear some of your stories about kindness, karma, whatever you guys and gals want to talk about, to spread the love and keep it about nothing but love. We'll be right back. So yeah, I don't know what to do with this. It's just, it's got a nice vibe. Somebody said it sounds like Enigma, It's actually the same singer that Enigma used in that song Return to Innocence, I think it is. So got a nice vibe. I don't know if it needs rap lyrics though. What do you think? No opinion? It's been a... Oh, it's got that ending there. Hold on. Here, I'll give you the verse. You can unmute your mic, sweetie. Alright. It's been a long, long journey full of struggle and worry. I tried to find the light, but the light was inside me. I traveled every path, I turned every stone. I finished up my mission, now it's time to go home. I leave no regrets, I conquered the darkness. Balanced with Mock's golden feather of justice. I stepped into the void, prepared for the end. To reach a new beginning, level up and ascend. I wish I could take you with me through the abyss, but I can only leave you with one final kiss. To know that I love you, never will that change. My twin and my tribe and everything in the chain that lifted me up and gave me the strength to break through the matrix and reset this place. To bring a whole new world, but not a new world order. A world of pure love for my sisters and brothers. Something like that.
Oh, people are saying it's already giving them chills.
It's from my tribe.
Yeah.
It just feels like it needs to be from my tribe.
Gives me chills too. Yeah. A soft rap with it is good.
Yeah. And I love this ending right here. Yeah, I know my timing was off on that. At the end, I wasn't expecting it to drop the drums. I love the whole, it sounds like children and women and men. It sounds like a whole crowd right there.
Yeah.
It just feels like winning.
Yeah.
It feels like the accomplishment of a mission. It feels like
Yeah.
it feels like resetting the matrix.
Yeah.
And it's time to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And with happiness and joy and love.
It's beautiful.
It is.
It really is.
My dear traveler, the purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise. Follow your conductors. And fear no danger. As you step beyond the veil.
Right, Waking Gaia actually said earlier that there's actually a book about karma and it being a spiritual bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this. Did you know this?
Do what?
There's actually a book about karma.
Book about this.
Yeah, about
I
karma
did not know that.
and karma being a spiritual bank account.
Oh, that's weird. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that there was a book about this. That's cool.
That is really cool.
Oh,
So
let me look that up.
it's interesting because a lot of the gnosis comes from the ayahuasca realm.
Yeah.
And we pull this gnosis out, and to see it confirmed in books, movies, things like that, it's so powerful, powerful.
It's powerful on a personal level. Even if it's just that, I know for myself and I know in my heart that I'm onto something and that something's been confirmed for me. And you're right. When we listen to songs that raise our vibration like that, it does give us the frequency of winning. And because like attracts like, if you are on that winning frequency and you stay on that frequency, then you're going to attract similarly winners into your circle of friends. And then you'll eventually just have all successful, happy, healthy people surrounding you. And that's, people ask, how did I end up with so many crappy people around me? Well, it's because, your frequency is such that you would just attract whatever you're putting out. And so when you put out really good, winning, healthy, vibrant energy, then you bring that to you.
Or when
because
you just
other
put out-
vibrant people want that.
When you just put out period. It also
Right.
does the same.
Well, that
You're
helps.
like, right.
Well, that helps in certain cases, but not mine.
Joke.
Silly twin.
So
He's
yeah.
teasing me.
Karma is an interesting thing. I've always believed in karma. I've always felt what goes out comes in.
Yeah.
And
It's not like a punishment reward thing.
no. And the best revenge is living well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've always thought to myself. And I've never focused on trying to harm somebody. I've never focused on trying to get revenge on somebody. We've been wronged by a lot of people, and a lot of people who claim to be our friends and then turn around and stab us in the back. And instead of focusing our energy on them, we focus our energy on trying to build something bigger and better. And then we find ourselves surrounded by better people and higher frequency people and all of that. Meanwhile, I've seen people who really hate us. I mean, you either love us or you hate us, one or the other. And these people really hate us, and they spend all their time just trying to fuck with us.
They destroy themselves.
And they get nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like, whoever's fucking with you in your life, number one, don't let them feed on that.
Yeah.
Number two, don't give them attention.
Right.
Because that's what they want. They want to take your attention. They want your attention. And then number three, the best revenge is living well. You really want to piss somebody off? Level up.
You know, they say, pay attention to me. They want you to pay. They want revenge. They want you to pay for what you've done to them. And so you're giving it to them just by giving them that attention, because you're paying attention to them. You know, even if it's just attention, that's still too much. If this person's already wronged you, they've already, gotten, enough of that energy from you. Giving them more by paying them anything, including attention, is winning for them. So paying them no attention at all kills them. I mean, it kills them, and they end up destroying themselves because they can't stand it.
I admit, I get a little bit of a kick out of watching some of the haters just pulling their hair out whenever we're like leveling up and like, doing all that.
Oh, they hate it.
Like, oh.
They don't know where it's even coming from most of the time. They're like, how did they get?
It's like, that's because we're up at 3:00 in the morning talking about consciousness and raising consciousness and elevating consciousness and all this other stuff. We're not up at 3 in the morning trying to figure out how to fuck you back, It's been a long, long journey full of struggle and worry. I try to find the light, but the light was inside me. It has been a long, long journey, but it's been a beautiful journey. And the number one thing that I always say is you want to find your tribe, speak your truth, unadulterated. Don't worry about what anybody else has to say, and your tribe will find you, and you will find your tribe. And you're always going to have people that hate you. You're always going to have people that love you, and you can't please everybody. And so anybody in the arena of podcasting, YouTubing, doing anything like that, even if you have a business, whatever it is,
anything creative,
there's always going to be people that hate you, and there's always going to be people that love you. And the people, you're not going to win the people over that hate you. Like, they're just, they hate you, or they hate the material you talk about, or they hate, whatever it is. You're not going to win them over.
They hate your opinion on something.
Yeah.
They're not going to change their mind.
So there's no point in trying to win them over. And so just focus on your tribe, focus on your mission.
Or alternatively, thinking about them constantly, or even just paying them attention in your own mind. That's too much. In my opinion, I've noticed myself, whenever I'm angry with somebody, I tend to think about that situation too much. And that's fine to think about these situations, but once you've resolved a situation, even paying attention to it in your own mind is too much. I think I have to tell myself consciously, okay, now that everything that has been done with the situation that can be done has been done, I'm not even going to think about this anymore. And I have to be strict with myself about not even allowing myself to think on and ruminate. There we go. Not allowing myself to ruminate on things, because rumination slowly like chips away at that positive energy that you're trying to build up for yourself. So by keeping a steady influx of positive energy coming in from the people in your life that bring you energy and bring you good energy, not the people that are always draining you, but the people that are adding things to your life, spiritual and psychological and emotional gifts. Those are the people I'm talking about. Those are the people you need to surround yourself with, and that positive influx of energy is going to change your life in incredible ways.
I agree.
It really will.
Spectra C said, "Why would they let someone they don't know bother them?" And I'm not sure if they're referring to us or just they in general or people in general. But you have a really good point. I've seen these memes running around Facebook all the time. Nobody can make you mad. You can choose to be mad. You can choose to be in a negative frequency. You can choose to be in a negative vibration. And, we're in human avatars. And sometimes, it just, we've had some of the most horrible things said about us, like the most horrible things. And at the very beginning of this, it was hard to separate it. And they're like, they're not really saying that about you. They're saying that about the idea of you. They have an idea of you. And especially when you put yourself out there and you've been doing shows for as long as we have and, all of that. And I'm sure I hear this from a lot of new people that are getting into the type of stuff that we're doing. And they're like, oh my God, haters and trolls and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I have fun with the trolls in the chat. As long as it's good-spirited and it's not mean-spirited and not fucking with the people in the chat room.
Yep.
Because that's the number one thing. Like, don't talk shit about my wife or to my wife. Don't disrespect her. Don't disrespect the people in the chat. Because it makes it uncomfortable for the people in the chat. And so those people, they got to go. But I like to have fun with them. And Cherie's like, don't give them energy. And I'm like, no, I want to have fun with them. and one of our friends dubbed it trollback. And I'm like, Chris is the master of trollback.
Yeah, he is, actually. I have to let him.
I love
thing.
fucking with people back sometimes. As long as it's not mean-spirited. Like, not mean to be mean. For the sake of being mean. We did run into a little bit of a situation recently, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to say this. Family sometimes, and we have callers on the call board, so we'll get to the callers here in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Family, for some reason, we have this idea that family is, that we're indebted to family for some reason. Like, nobody has treated us worse than our own family members. And I think that a lot of people out there can relate to this because for some reason, like, we don't take shit from people. But when it comes to blood family, for some reason, we find it okay, acceptable. Like when you and I first got together, there was a lot of external family issues that were trying to creep into our sphere. And it's almost like, some parents out there, they don't respect their child growing up and starting a family of their own. And they still feel that they have control over that child and they know what's best for them and, so on and so forth. And there's not that respect of the new family that we're all supposed to grow up and create families of our own. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. That's my biggest gripe with religion. Not my biggest gripe with religion. My first gripe with religion. The first red flag was the idea of God's children. And I thought to myself, well, any parent would want their child to grow up and to become an adult. Not only become an adult, but transcend what they've accomplished in their lives. And this is how all these elite families have built their wealth. Great, 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 great grandpa did this and then followed by this and then followed by this and followed by this and followed by this. And all of a sudden you have the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and these dynasties that go back for generations and generations is because they were elevating the next of kin instead of a lot of parents will try to keep the next of kin down. But we just had a recent situation where one of your family members, I don't know if you want to go into any details, but you were encouraging them to not take the vacation.
Yeah.
And they replied to you as if you were personally
adversary,
attacking them.
Yeah.
Like some kind of personal attack from giving them the information about the vacation and telling them how we're on YouTube, so I've got to watch my language. How risky it is.
How risky it can be.
How risky it can be.
Yeah.
And as we pointed out earlier, 22-year-old all-star soccer goalie all of a sudden drops
Some of
dead.
the healthiest people.
And they say cause of death unknown. So, I realized I posted it on Facebook and I said, we did a show and it was a couple shows ago and I did this little stand-up routine at the end. And you looked mortified at the beginning. And then you told me, number one, you didn't know the camera was on you.
Yeah,
you
I
didn't,
did.
because I had my material right on this screen here,
Right.
which is the shared screen. You can see the
I
screen
couldn't
here.
see the
You can see what
screen,
was on the
so
screen.
I had no idea what was even on the camera.
But I was looking back at it and I was like, oh my God, did I offend you? You know?
Yeah,
And then you were, we had a little bit of an argument afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And, it took about a good 24 hours
Yeah.
before we finally got to the root of what's going on. And he came to me and he said, well, when I got up during that show, I got a text message from a family member saying one of my family members is in the hospital and he's about to die.
Yeah. It's the same family
And
member.
when you came back and I was doing my little stand-up routine, you had that on your mind. You didn't communicate that to me, which is okay, but communication is key to a good relationship, in my humble opinion. But I posted it on Facebook and I said, we've been dealing with this situation and I try to keep it abstract as possible. And the replies we got were so insightful. It was just beautiful to see others replying. So this family member, number one, accused us of being paid by Russia to push
Russian
Trump
spies.
Yeah, Russian spies to push Trump propaganda back in 2020. And we were like, what the fuck?
Where's
and then
that coming from?
Number two, just talking mad shit to us, so disrespectful.
Yeah.
We would never let anybody talk to us like that, but because it was a family member, for some reason it was okay for them to talk to us like that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't tell you, because I was like, he's been so disrespectful of us in the past that I'm just like, I've got to hold back for a second, because how empathetic do we really need to be to this particular situation? Because this is the exact same family member that treated us like adversaries for trying to help them. And they even took it to an extreme level of offensiveness. And I won't say why, but
I don't want to get into why,
they
but
took it into an extreme level.
What was said was the most horrible thing that you can say to a family member. I had a similar situation where my father decided to tell me exactly how he feels about me over my mother's open casket. I was in the most vulnerable state that I ever have been in my life. And that was the time that he took the advantage to go and try to just really stab at me as much as he could over my mother's open casket. And as you pointed out, and it kind of coincides with what I was talking about, I was talking with my friend on Facebook, and he said, oh yeah, I remember your dad beating the shit out of you in the front yard. My mother was my saving grace back then.
Yeah.
And I was telling my friends, it was in that same thread, I was telling my friend, bro, if it wasn't for you and all of our other friends, I probably would have offed myself way back then. You guys saved my life.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, all the Molly that I was using back then was for the PTSD, for what I was experiencing.
You were self-treating.
Yeah. But he told me that in front of my mother's open casket. And that was unacceptable. And at that point, he disappeared. And I carried this guilt for 8 years. 8 years of, I don't want him to die without talking to his oldest son.
Right.
I don't want, that has to be horrible. There can't, I'm better than this. I'm taking the high road, and I don't care about all the pain. I don't care about all the suffering. I don't care about the abuse. I don't care about any of that. I don't want his final moments to be, thinking I'm estranged from my oldest son and he won't even come and visit me. I'm better than that. But it took me years to process it. I call him up on Christmas. He talks to me for 2 minutes and then hands me to his wife, who I've never talked to before. And I'm like, oh, so I've been feeling like shit about this whole situation the whole time, and you didn't even give a shit. And I was the one carrying all the guilt and everything like that. So anyways, the reason that I mention that is because the level of disrespect and pain surpassed even that this person did to you. And a lot of people in the comments who were replying, they said, take the high road, go visit him. How are you, the other people were saying, how are you going to feel in 10 years from now when he's gone? And this is Cherie's situation here, when he's gone and you haven't said your goodbyes. Are you going to be okay with that?
Right.
Other people were saying, fuck him. that was way over the line. He crossed the line and treated you with nothing but disrespect.
Right.
And that you have no obligation to do anything. And then another person said something really insightful. They said, would that family member come and help you? And you've had 14 surgeries in the last 13 years. And not a single family member. Your grandmother came one time.
One time.
One time. To help with the kidney stone surgery.
For a relatively minor
yeah.
procedure.
But life and death, intussusception, all of that, nothing.
He was all alone.
Yeah.
He was all alone in that waiting room.
I wasn't in the waiting room. I was pacing up and down the fucking parking lot.
Yeah. He was all alone.
Yeah. I asked if I
He
could
didn't have
see the
family.
surgery, and, you know, you lied to me, and it's okay. Sometimes you have to lie to your partner. I don't think that lying is acceptable in a relationship, but I understand. You told them that you don't want me to see it.
I didn't want him to see it.
You don't want to see your wife with her guts completely taken out.
Yeah.
And they told me they didn't have a viewing area. But I wanted to make sure that nothing happened. And I wanted to make sure that my energy was there. And I wanted to make sure that, they did everything by the books. And if I caught anything wrong, then I could be witness to it and all of that. I don't care about that. If you're on an operating table with your guts completely taken out of you, I'm not going to see you any differently.
Aww.
You can go through the worst things in the world, and I'm not going to see you any differently. You're my twin flame. You're my wife. You're my other half. So, all that being said, we have been contemplating, do we go down there and visit this person? And those were very valid questions. Would that person come and help? No.
Yeah.
Does that person care? No. Does that person treat us with respect? No. Does that person, do we owe this person anything at all, period? No. It's a blood bond.
Yeah.
But somehow we let these blood bonds get into our heads, and we want to be the better person. We want to take the high road.
Right.
And I would have been on a plane the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Going down there.
If it had been a respectful relationship that was mutually.
Well, regardless, right now, if you said, I want to go, we would be on a plane and we would be going.
Yeah.
But you made the decision. And if you change your mind, you can change your mind tomorrow morning. You can change your mind in 2 hours from now, we'll be on a plane.
I don't think I will. And it's not, I do not feel in any way guilty or bad about not going down there. And there's number one, my own health issues are, a big enough concern that I don't think it's worth the risk of putting my health that much at risk to go down there. Number two, even if I was in better health and I didn't have the health issues, it would feel to me like I was accepting an amount of disrespect into my life that I was only allowing because somebody was passing on from this world. And that's not a good enough reason to allow that much disrespect into your life. And I don't feel guilty because this person, I don't feel as horribly bad for this person as I would if they hadn't have gotten that vacation. But the fact they got that vacation, they told me what they told me when getting it. And they were as horrible to me as they were when getting it. And then on top of that,
this was stuff that cuts the soul.
Yeah, everything all put together,
And
it made it to where I don't feel any negativity at all. It's almost like all the negative stuff canceled itself out. Where, okay, well, why do I feel guilty? Okay, well, there's no reason. If there's no reason, then you just don't.
But,
so
with all due respect to your grandparents, we had issues with them in the beginning of our relationship, and we had to cut off communication.
And they did.
Your aunt threatened to call the police. And we're like, we're a married couple. Go fuck yourself. You know, I mean, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, she doesn't want to talk to you. Okay,
Yeah.
we're a married couple. Leave us alone. Click.
Right.
And what we were doing is we were setting up healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Once they were able to respect those boundaries, then we allowed them back into the sphere. And I'm telling you, the dynamic changed completely with them.
Yeah.
They respect us. They respect our views. They don't try to push their views upon us.
They respect our time.
They respect our time. We sat down, we had dinner with them.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with your grandfather as two spiritual leaders coming together and talking. I asked advice from him because he has a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me the level of respect that I feel that I should show him.
Right.
And I always felt like I should show him that level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't getting that level of respect. I never disrespected him.
No.
Because he's your grandfather.
Right.
But once we formed those healthy boundaries, then we allowed them back into the sphere and the dynamic changed completely and it's harmonious. And I want to interact with them even more.
It's friends rather than parents and children. You know, it's not parents and children. And, you know, the dynamic that the difference in dynamic is just incredible between
if you don't mind me saying
us
this,
and
because
them.
I wanted to finish this thought.
Yeah, please.
It comes back to love. And it comes back to loving yourself. And oftentimes we forget that love also means loving yourself and respecting yourself. And people are only going to respect you as much as you respect yourself. And if you're letting somebody disrespect you like that, you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to throw hands. You don't have to do all of that. But you can send out energetically through words, through actions, kind words of kindness. I'm not allowing this, and I'm not allowing this in my sphere.
This is unacceptable to me. Yeah.
He came in with that jab that was just, it's infuriating. I would go beat his ass if he wasn't on his deathbed.
Right.
But you didn't want to tell me about it because you thought I'd go beat his ass. But I'm not going to go beat somebody's ass who's on their deathbed.
I know.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
I know, but I was conflicted internally when I first heard that this was happening very fast. At first, when he was first diagnosed in November, this wasn't happening as fast, and it seems in the past couple of weeks to have really ramped up. And I didn't know it was going to happen this quickly, and so I was conflicted at the time. And I wasn't even sure how I felt about the situation. And I wasn't about to, just tell my husband, oh my gosh, my relative's in the hospital and he's taking a turn for the worst. And oh my gosh,
my reaction would have been, well, we need to go down there.
Exactly.
But there was all this conflict.
But
there.
I didn't want to.
So the message here is family. Sometimes, they say blood is thicker than water. I think that's a program, a matrix program.
It absolutely
Your
is.
family is your tribe. Your family are the ones who, when you speak your truth, are the ones who resonate with that truth.
And listen.
When they speak their truth. And the thing is, you don't have to agree. That's the thing. You don't have to agree. There has to be a mutual respect, though. And like when your grandfather and I sat down and spoke, he brought up the Bible, I brought up the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And, when I was bringing it up, I was like, oh, well, he said something about something in the Bible. And he's like, well, Paul says, you have to die every day and, be born again in Jesus.
Be born again in Christ.
And I said, that's amazing. That's exactly what the Emerald Tablets of Thoth says. The Thoth said that you must die, but it's not a death as you know it. It's a death that brings life, a death that kills darkness with fire and light. Yeah. And so, we had a mutual back and forth. They still think I'm going to hell, but that's they kept that in their own consciousness.
That's their program.
Instead of putting it on the table.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. That's
And I think they're going back to Sophia. But
But you keep that to yourself.
I didn't put it on the table.
Right. Right. And that's totally fine. We can respect each other and have a mutual respect for one another without, not talking or just, completely being formal, with one another and be respectful of each other's belief systems to to that extent. But the relationship with this other person is just such that it doesn't need to. I don't need to invest nearly as much energy and resources into a relationship with this person that is going to be gone in the next few days or a few weeks. When the extent of our relationship is already good where it is right now, and everything is it's not that it's not unhealthy. It's just done. It's been a good relationship with this person, and it's not that it ended badly. It's just I don't need to invest a huge amount of energy to say goodbye.
For me, it was a learning experience, and it was a revelation of why do we let family members treat us like this?
Yeah.
Just because they're blood. And a lot of people in the chat room are saying they've had to disconnect with family too. And I am not saying to disconnect with family by any means. That's not the message. But the message is love yourself, respect yourself enough. Put up those boundaries. And if they cross those boundaries, just saying, well, you're not allowed in my sphere if you're not gonna respect my boundaries.
Right.
You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to do all of that. But you can't push your idea of life upon me and expect me to just sit there and just take it and take it and take it. I'm not your emotional punching bag or your emotional bitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Or your accessory. In a lot of families, it seems to be the case where it's assumed that if a person is passing away, or if somebody's getting married, or if somebody's having a baby, it's just assumed that, oh, you're going to come and you're going to be there. And, if you're part of this family, then you're going to be there. That's not the way things are supposed to be. My family is not the family that I was raised by and that I'm biologically connected to. My family is all of you. It's my twin.
What's
it's
beautiful,
my
though,
cats.
is that there are so many people in the chat who listen to Beyond the Veil, who their children do too. And they can connect on that level.
I know, that's so cool.
We have people who have been listening to us since they've been in the womb. And now they're getting to be 12, 13 years old.
That's so cool.
And my friend Marshall, we met Estrella.
His daughter. Yeah.
And Estrella has been listening to us since she was in the womb.
That's so neat.
And they both came over, and we took them down Fremont and everything like that. And she was just so excited. She's like, oh my God, it's Chris and Sherry. And it really got me.
So
we did a video called Blood on Our Hands, and it was about all the
Gaza.
children dying in Gaza. And Marshall sent me a video of her singing it. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, it was a few years ago, and she was probably like 8 or 9 at the time. And I was like, oh my God, an 8, 9-year-old girl is singing my song about the death of children on the other side of the world. It just grabbed me. And then you remember those kids? They did a music video for Run This Town.
Yeah. That was so cute.
2 brothers and a sister. And they did this thing, and they were lip syncing the song.
They were lip syncing the song.
I was so proud of them.
It was
I was so
cute.
proud of them. But that's the thing. Sometimes your tribe is your family. Sometimes it's not.
Right.
And it's okay either way.
Yeah, either way is okay. And it's okay if if you want your child or your grandchild or your niece or whoever to be part of that tribe, but they just don't resonate. It's okay. It's okay for them to not resonate.
Yeah. And likewise, if they're completely different and they still love you, and you still love them, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's okay for everybody to just love each other from afar.
The problem is the people who are stuck to the TV.
Yeah.
They take it personally when you tell them contrary to what they're told on the TV. Like, it's like personal. Like, when they tell us, well, CNN said this, we don't take it personally. We're just like, well, CNN's a bunch of bullshit, if you choose to believe that, you choose. But if you try to tell them the truth, they take it like personally, like it's become embedded as part of them, and it's sad. And I've read more comments about, I noticed that after the third vacation, people just cease to be people anymore. And it's sad.
They're
it's really sad.
more like part of a hive mind collective,
Yeah.
and they don't seem to have a whole lot of independent thought process going on. Their thought processes tend to be collectivized to either a religion that they follow, a job that they work at, or some kind of music they listen to, some kind of group think. They really get pulled more into it, to the point where they're not really their own person anymore, and that seems to be
My niece,
universal.
She's 6 now. She wants to be a podcaster.
That's so cute.
She wants to be a
a radio girl.
No, she was to
podcasting.
She wants to stream video games.
Like blog. Oh yeah, video game vlogging.
Yeah. I want to be like Uncle Chris. I want to stream.
Aww.
But I want to do video games. And my sister's like, you're too young for that. And she's like, I know, but when I get older, I want Uncle Chris to help me. Oh, that would be... That's going to be a wonderful time.
Oh, that's going to be great.
That's going to be a wonderful
Yeah.
time. When you have this
it's gonna be so much fun.
this little being, and you moms and dads out there, you know what I mean? You have this little being, and they're absorbing the knowledge that you're giving them. Like, even just having her over here, taking her to the Luxor Hotel and showing her all the gods and goddesses. And she was like, that's Thoth. That's the bird mama. She calls Isis the bird mama.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Sphinx. And she says, Mommy, did you know that the Pharaoh took the Sphinx and put his own face on it? And she's like, how'd you know that? Uncle Chris told me.
Aww, that's so cute.
And my sister's all for it. Her in-laws, her husband is okay with it too, but her in-laws are CNN hardcore. They have CNN burned into the freaking TV screen. They don't like that. But yeah, I sent her all kinds of like Egyptian stuff, and she sent me a picture, and it's got, and again, we got callers on hold, so we're going to get the callers in about 2 minutes, but she sent me pictures of her room, and she's got 2 Bastets, 2 Anubises, because I sent her the smaller ones, and I didn't realize I was sending the smaller ones, and then she wanted the bigger ones. She lined them all up together with the Isis statue in the back and everything like that. She's got her whole little altar going. And it's like so cute. And she sent me a picture. She was so proud of it. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, it's the best feeling. It's one of those
really
feelings that I wish I had kids. But at the same time, I understand that many of you guys and gals out there are mothers and fathers, and you understand this. And you've made the sacrifice to procreate. So my obligation that I feel that I have to you guys by not having children is to party, have fun, and chill and vibe, because you give all that up when you have kids. So I'm trying to fulfill my obligation to each and every one of you by going out and doing hookers and blow and everything we do here in Vegas.
That's mean.
That's just a joke.
I know, but it's mean.
That was a meme I read on Facebook.
Yeah, I know, but it's a mean joke.
All right, let's get to the callers. We have Nick Bravo calling in. Nick, how you doing, my brother?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Man.
How you doing, Nick?
How's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Good. It's 6 a.m. I'm off to have some coffee. So a couple of things I was thinking about. First of all, it's interesting because people with, there's people who lack a conscience, and then there's people who have an over exaggerated conscience, in which they're worried about how every little thing hurts somebody. And the thing about love is you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself enough to get over any guilt or shame or self-blame, because unless you love yourself and forgive yourself for all of that stuff, that really can't be helped. You're just going to be miserable. And I think that's part of it, because the Matrix, the AI, it wants people to feel shame and fear and guilt and all those other emotions, because you're supposed to use your critical thinking to say, well, is there anything I could have done differently? And 9 times out of 10, usually, especially with like toxic family members or just toxic people in general, there's nothing you're going to be. There's nothing that would have been differently, because it would have taken them, that other person, to have an awakening and say, "Oh, I need to change." 9 times out of 10, most people think that they don't have to change in any way, shape, or form. You know.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with you, man. I know you've gone through your struggles. I've seen your journey progress through time. I'm so freaking proud of you, brother. And you always bring
Thanks.
major insight. So I know you talked a
Yeah.
little bit about on Facebook. So I don't want to get too personal because I don't know what you've talked on Facebook. I've seen stuff posted, but I know you were having some family issues yourself. Do you want to get into any of those and how that's progressed and how you've helped to clear the energies or
for
whatever you're
example,
comfortable with?
But I think a lot of it is, I mean, like, I know a lot of it is I just have to accept the way people are, because I think a lot of times is, like, I did a tarot reading for myself on my stepdad, and basically I got the sense of this is his last lifetime encountering me, and so it's like this was his last chance as far as the consciousness to deal with whatever he needed to deal with me. And it's just like, my goal is I just have to let it go. I have to let it go, because he's not gonna fucking change. As far as my mother, I mean, I love her. I just have to accept her. It is a little bit humbling because my car broke down, so I have to. She's paying to have it fixed, fortunately. But it's kind of humbling, because it's like, I wish, I feel like I should be making enough money at my own age to, like, pay for my own stuff. But it's just like, it is what it is, and that's the issue of it. But I think a lot of times, we have relationships in other lifetimes, and sometimes those relationships are done, but we have to be willing to let go of that. And I think a lot of what keeps people attached, especially if they are of a higher consciousness, they're sitting there, they're like, man, if I just had one more chance to try to connect with that other, that other consciousness. And the thing of it is, it's like, like if you're having a really great meal at a restaurant, and you're just like, oh man, I just want one more steak. I want one more piece of chocolate cake. Your stomach's already full. You're about to burst. You're almost going to feeling sick. But you're like, oh man, I just want another, filet mignon. And it's like, well, at some point, you have to say, you know what? It was good while it lasted. Now I need to move on. And you have to let go of the attachment, which is probably the hardest thing to do.
That is true. Unless you go to the Brazilian buffet, and then at that point, you got to get them back. Like, I always try to win at the Brazilian buffet. Like, I'm going to eat more meat than I paid when I go in there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I'm just making
like
a joke. But I know what you mean, man. I found myself doing that too.
Or like the Hunger Games, where you just take some Ipecac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I found myself doing that too. My weakness is chocolate, and when I get stoned, forget about it. I got a little vape right here, and But what I started doing is I told Cherie, I said, hey, get some Hershey Kisses, and just give me like 3 of them. And so when I get stoned, I'll just eat 3 Hershey Kisses, and that's it, and like limit it there. And I found no difference between having 3 Hershey Kisses and having 3 Hershey bars. There's no difference except for the fact that I don't feel like shit after having 3, and I'm still just equally as satisfied by having 3 Hershey Kisses instead of 3 Hershey bars.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is like, you just gotta, love yourself enough to, part of loving yourself is also giving yourself healthy boundaries. It's like, because if you have healthy boundaries, if you love yourself enough to have boundaries, you're going to say, yeah, I'm not going to put up with this or that person's disrespect. I'm not going to eat myself into, a state of being sick. I'm not going to drink myself into being hungover. It's all about balance, and it's all about knowing, at what point is an experience over so you can move on to the next experience.
Yes, I very well said.
Yeah.
And in a situation like yours, and forgive me because I only know the situation loosely if I get anything wrong, but it
Oh,
feels
you're
like
fine.
there's a little bit of a mutual relationship there, where there's a little bit of a mutual dependency. You help your family member with a
Well,
lot of
yeah,
things; they
yeah.
help you in return. And
Uh-huh.
that's there's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where,
Yeah.
like my father, for example, he didn't want to help people. Instead, what he wanted is he
Yeah.
wanted people obligated to him.
Control.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So quick.
And that's kind of how my mother is. She's always going on about safety, but it's like, well, no, you're not worried about safety. You want control. I mean, if I had $100,000, I'd have been out of this state, yesterday. But the thing of it is I have to love myself enough to make money and enough to do what I need to do to make money instead of being dependent on everybody else. Because so many times people will sit there and they'll preach safety, and the only real thing that they want is they just want control, because that's all it's about at the end of the day for them.
Let me tell you what, Nick, I was, the way that I was raised, it was almost like you realize as you get older that it's probably not the case that every time you go out in your car and you go 5 miles over the speed limit, you are running a huge risk of dying in a horrible car accident. I mean, it was drilled into my head that to be scared of literally everything in my environment. And so I wondered as I grew up, and I realized, the world's really not as dangerous as they're making it out to be.
I wanted to take her to Europe.
Yeah.
And when we first met, and she said, "You're gonna get sold into white slavery
She
over
said
there."
you're gonna get sold into white slavery or something.
And I'm like, "Oh my God."
I think it's not about being existentially afraid all the time. It's about being controlled and being manipulated to be afraid of the reality that you're in, so that you run to
back home.
Whoever, yeah, you run back home for safety and comfort and all that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like every time. I mean, it's like people around here, they're not bothering really about the vaccines or the masks, and yet every time she talks to me, she's like, "Oh, you should get the jab or wear a mask," and it's like, I mean, she really doesn't have any comprehension of how the world really is. It's not that scary.
This is what I did with my father. I didn't mean to cut you off. This is what I did with my father. When I talked to him, I just said, "Yeah, I got it," and that's it.
Yeah.
And my sister, on the other hand, is like, "Hell no, I'm not getting it." But I was just like, just tell them whatever they want to hear. Just tell her. Yeah, I went out and I got it. It's great. It was the best thing.
Let him be a happy guy.
Well, yeah. So, a really good story about the kindness thing is so basically, so like yesterday, I had to take one of those local buses to the college or whatever. So I did that, and then what happened was basically I wasn't like at the right pickup spot, so I had to stay there for like over an hour just waiting. And the thing of it was I could have gotten all angry and upset, and I could have been like yelling at the the company or whatever, and I could have got all upset and everything, but I chose to be kind. And it's so cool because the driver who eventually picked me up, me and her started she was like, "Oh, what are you taking classes for?" and all that stuff, and we started talking about addiction and that kind of stuff. Then I started talking about the real estate stuff, and it turned out she has a daughter who not only is an agent but also a broker and an investor. And it's funny because I've been wanting to find somebody who knows the market here in town, so I can kind of learn from them, but also add value and maybe find properties and eventually do deals and figure out how to do that kind of a thing. And it's like, I mean, if I would have got like all pissed off and upset, and if I would have just yelled at the person and stormed off and walked home, pissed off, I would have never made that connection. I mean, I got the business card. I still need to call the person, but still, it's like it pays to be kind to people,
Oh, that's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. I see
Yeah,
great things coming up for you, man. I do, because your frequency's right. You're getting in that right headspace, and you're also being proactive too. That's the thing. A lot of people, we played a little clip about how to be miserable, and it was like 10 ways. It was like, number one, don't wake up at a certain time. Number two, don't take a shower when you wake up. Don't do anything to show self-respect. Number three, think the whole world is against you. Number four, think that you're never going to be successful because the new world order is going to get you, or the man's going to keep you down, or whatever. Don't be
yeah,
proactive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got to break through all that and go out and be proactive and make those connections like you are doing. So yeah,
yeah,
I think you're there, man. I think you're there. I think the only conflict that I feel in yourself, and again, forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it's just internally, you're
yeah,
just not sure what you want to do. And trust me, I've been there for so
yeah.
long, man.
That's
I'm paralyzed
yeah.
sometimes when it comes to business. I'm like, should I advertise here? Should I
Okay.
advertise there? Should I bring in
Mhm.
this new product? Should I do this?
Yeah.
Should I do that? And then I realize like a whole year goes by, and I'm like, shit, I haven't done anything, except for maintain. I haven't done anything to grow. So I know the feeling of paralysis. I'll give
Yeah.
you the advice that my
Yeah.
multi-million dollar friend gave me. This guy is making like 450
Mhm.
million a year. He said, grow some
Yeah.
balls.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what I need to do because I mean, I have instructors and stuff like that in class, and they're like, and other students, and they're like, I mean, they kind of can't imagine, they can't understand why I haven't succeeded as much yet because it's like, and the thing of it is though, it's like, I really do have to, grow some balls, so to speak, and I have to work on how to deal positively with, stress and irritation because, I mean, like, if you're in the town that I'm living in, I mean, most people, it's like the biggest drug problems are meth and alcohol. And it's like, it's so easy to, like, fall into that state of mind where it's just like, well, I'm just going to take a day off and I'm just going to day drink all day. It's so fucking easy to do that because everybody's just kind of, if they're not working for the government and doing NPC shit, it's really easy to get, into an unhealthy lifestyle, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I've been there, man. I've been there. I've been there where a week's gone by before, and I'm like, what have I done? I've done the bare minimum of
Hmm.
what I could be doing, and just kind of stuck in the
Yeah.
depressed state. I mean, if
Yeah.
people are not depressed from 2020 and 2020, I would say there's something wrong with them because it affected us on so many different levels. I was doing a shit reply to this OCD medication that they're selling on Facebook, and I just left a message, and I was like, oh, well, that's great. First of all, create OCD through the mainstream media, create hypochondria, and then offer them pills. Great business model you got there. And I got all these replies like, oh my God, you don't know anything about OCD, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And I dropped an article there. That's all I did. Dropped an article from Time Magazine saying that this whole pandemic situation has created OCD in people that didn't have OCD before. And everybody just shut the fuck up at that point because now it's coming from Time, which is a mainstream media outlet. It's not coming from me, and nobody could say anything to it. But yeah, dude, this has fucked us up. And if you're not feeling fucked up, it's okay. I mean, if you're not feeling fucked up, there's a problem with it. But it's okay to feel fucked up about it. The key, in my opinion, is to recognize it and deal with it, which a lot of people are refusing to do. But I see that you're recognizing it, you're dealing with it. I'm recognizing it, I'm dealing with it, and nobody's above it. But we are more powerful than that, and that's the whole key is harnessing that power from within ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I know like one of those classes that I'm taking, which is like it's like group dynamics, and we're supposed to facilitate groups and stuff like that. And it's like I definitely need to work on my social skills because a lot of times I slip into lecturing. I slip into not being as empathic as I could be, and it's like I've really got to work on that. And it's like I know that I do, but at the same time, it's like, well, I at least have to make an effort because, like, I'm sure I could easily connect with some of these people who are, higher level professionals. but it's learning how to do it because I know I can. The thing of it is, though, it's like I have to get over my victim complex, which means I have to love myself enough to realize that I do have the strength and the courage and the ability to actually make something of myself. Because, like, and that's hard to do because, again, even when, whenever I interact with my mother, she wants to kind of coddle me and treat me like an infant. And it's like, well, you should have did that when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old, not when I'm, almost fucking 50. It's like, so it's like.
It sounds like
again,
it sounds like a problem where she is having her issues, and it's not so much of an issue of yours, but it's that issue of she doesn't want to be alone, so she's trying to pull you in as much as possible. I can tell you this, and again, I don't know if this is just a Vegas thing or if it's something that could be applied everywhere. I've got arm tattoos. I dress the way that I dress here all the time. My best friends are business owners, doctors, lawyers, people of that caliber, and these guys wear three-piece suits and do all that. They come over to the house, they hang out, we go out to bars, we do all that. They speak to me in the same with respect and as a professional. And I think what it comes down to is the way you carry yourself. And I can tell that you carry yourself very well. I can tell the way you speak very well. And so you're going to attract those kind of people. It's something inside, though, that just needs to realize that that's the kind of people you want to attract. Like, it's just a little more confidence within yourself, and you will make it there. I know you will. I've seen you. I've watched your journey. I know where you're headed. Yeah. You got this, bro. You got it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, though, is I think one of the issues that, and I know a lot of people have this issue of, if you sit in your apartment all day long or your house or whatever, isolation is not good for people. And yet, what is mass media been telling people? Self-isolate, stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask so you can't see each other's faces. And now they're talking about war, all this other shit. And it's just like, if you step outside their box, their container, you can see how it's all scripted. I mean, even with the Ukraine war, it's like, I mean, if you think about it, it almost looks like a football game with all the memes and everything else. It's like, it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. But they want people to be scared, because that's what the AI feeds on.
Oh, yeah. They want people to be afraid of each other. They want people to not communicate with each other. They want people to use the internet as their primary source of communication because they can censor the internet. They can't censor the bar conversations that you have. So, yeah. I think you're doing great, and I think the classes you're taking are fantastic, and I'm super excited to see where you are in a year from now,
I know I've got to
brother.
do internships, and then I'm going to hopefully try to move to Florida where it's a lot warmer because I hate the fucking cold. But
I was actually going to mention that at the beginning of the call. A lot of it has to do with environment. If you're around certain places, like when we were living up in Spokane in the middle of nowhere, we had no style. Yeah. We conformed to the people around us. We move here out to Vegas, we're a lot more Vegas. We may be a little too loud for somewhere like, Memphis, Tennessee, but, you just start, you emulate the people that you're around.
And this is a great, don't get me wrong. This is a great environment to raise a family. It's a great environment to have a small business, but if you're like a middle-aged single guy, there's nothing. There's just literally nothing. No real opportunity, no real anything. And it's just like, it's not, I can resonate with people at an intellectual level. I can even surpass most people, but it's just like, they're just kind of like, oh, who's your wife? What do your kids go to school? And I'm just kind of like, I'm single. It's like, okay, what the fuck's wrong with you? And it's just, that's kind of, and they're not trying to be mean about it, but it's just like, somebody in my position should be definitely, in a bigger city or in some other state working on something else, even if I went down to Nashville where they're starting to do like the Hollywood stuff, that that it'd be better than where I currently am now.
It's all,
But I am going to get the certification to be an addictions counselor, because then I can pretty much get a job anywhere.
I think that's fantastic. You know how to speak to people. And I can really see you helping a whole lot of people. I there's a meme that popped up on Facebook, and I've got it on the screen here. It said, "How would I write I changed a light bulb on a resume?" And the answer is, single-handedly managed the successful upgrade and deployment of new environmental illumination systems with zero cost overruns and zero safety incidents. And there's a lot of truth to that. It's just the way you word things, man. It's just the way you word things. So, dude, that is so great. We're actually having, in the next couple of weeks, an author who talks about addiction, and her main thing is Xanax and getting people off of Xanax. So I just happened to see her book pop up in an ayahuasca group, and I reached out to her, and she's like, "Oh, I've been listening to you guys for a long time. I know your work." And I was, I was honored to hear that. But when I mentioned Xanax, I heard a lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, I'm on Xanax. I've been trying to get off of it." And I was like, wow, number one, no judgment from anybody. Number two, acceptance from everybody. Yeah. And number three, I thought that her information could help some people out there who want to get off it. And for those who don't want to get off it, more power to them. It's their path. No judgment whatsoever. Well, so I can see you with that same kind of mindset.
I've got a friend and her kids on Zoloft, but I was talking to her last night, and she was like telling me about all of his problems. And I'm just like, I'm like, well, number one, I know he's got problems, but it's like, I'm like, number one, he needs to, he needs to basically probably be taken to a doctor and just checked, do an MRI scan for like psychopathy. You can do that now. They have the technology. It's fairly easy to get that done. But she was telling me all these things he does, and I'm just like, he's a single boy, and I'm just thinking, if he would have had brothers, because he'll sit there and he'll reduce teachers to tears. He'll talk trash to everybody. The problem is he's like 6 foot something, 200 some pounds. So most of his classmates aren't going to stand up to him. Teachers aren't going to either. But I'm like thinking, if he would have had brothers and did that shit, because I remember my two little brothers going at it with each other when they were little kids. They got vicious with each other. And of course, my friend, she's a single mother. She's like, "Oh, I don't want my little so-and-so to get hurt, and I know he's got problems, and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, somebody's going to knock him on his ass eventually. And, it's like, if it's a serious situation, they could really hurt him. But, he's going to have to get knocked on his ass a couple of times so he fucking shakes up. And I hate saying that, but, you know how it is with guys, especially during puberty. It's like you almost need other guys to kind of, fucking keep you in check.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't have a man role figure in their life. A lot of kids don't. And I'm talking about a man. Sometimes they have males in their lives, but a lot of people don't have men in their lives, and it's kind of sad. But I'm looking forward to, let me know when you get that certificate, because I'm just going to throw an idea, put it in your ear, but it'd be awesome to have you here in Vegas. And I know there's a lot of treatment centers here in Vegas, a lot of people who are going through stuff. And if you think about Vegas, man, it'd be awesome to have a friend like you right here in our area, dude. Yeah. So let me know. Yeah. Maybe I can talk to some people here and see if there's any work for a counselor like that. If you're interested, Florida's also awesome too.
I'm also going to have to write a fucking book or something, because I think that's going to help me have a lot of credibility. Because a lot of it is, I just have to stop trying to escape from my life, because I know a lot of, like, even when I get into these moods, like, I know when I drink, it's because I get into these moods where I don't see a future, which is stupid, because obviously there's a future, but it's like, I got to fucking work for it. And I think that's what's really missing in our society, is we've lost, boys need fathers to teach them how to see a future and to work towards that future. If you don't have that, you're just going to be playing video games all fucking day. I mean, that's just, that's just how it is.
That is very true. We got to let you go because we got several other callers, but man,
Okay, cool.
I'm so excited for you, brother. This time next year,
Okay.
it's going to be totally different.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
already see it.
Definitely.
All
Love you, man.
Love you,
Okay,
bro.
well, take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Oh man, Nick is so awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's I could see him writing a book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Me too.
Yeah, it's funny. That's when I go on shows like Coast to Coast. The first thing they ask is, "Do you have any books?" No. Do you have any of this? No. Do you have any of that? No. Well, what do you have? Shit ton of experience in ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
So people like Clad are like, we need DMT experts. Chris and Shuri Geo. We're going to talk about the elves tonight. We need computer simulation experts. Chris and Shuri Geo. Let's do this. But yeah, we need some books too. No
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah, we do.
Let's go to Tennessee. Tennessee, what's your name and what's on your mind? Oh, hold on. Sorry. I think I forgot to unmute you. Oh, I'm unmuting everybody now. All right. Sorry. So 731, what's your name? What's on your mind?
Oh, what's up? Can
Hey.
you guys hear me?
Hey.
What's up?
Hold on.
It's
What is
Crystal.
Crystal?
Hey, what's
Or-
up? How are you?
Yeah, Grand
How you
Rising. Rise and shine.
Yes. Well, today's a new
Okay,
moon.
so-
Today is the day to start something new. It's
Yes.
always the most powerful on the new moon. So,
Oh,
what have you been up to?
is that why I was up at 3:12 a.m. this morning?
I think so. That's why we started the show at 3:33.
Mm-hmm.
I was up at 3:12. I was up like, I shot up like, okay, well, I'm not tired, so I better get up and get on with my day. And then I seen you guys pop up. I was like, that's
Because
why.
he put out the
Okay.
call. Chris put out the call. Said we're doing a show.
I'm feeling
I
it
heard
too.
it.
I'm feeling it too. I just feel like
And I'm answering.
this morning I woke up and I'm like, I have this whole new energy to me. It's this transit that
Me too.
I've been going through and it's finally over and I feel completely rejuvenated. I feel
Yeah.
like I want to put all the past bullshit from the last several months behind me. You know, I've probably been in a low frequency. I don't know if people have picked up on it or not, probably, because there have been some shows where I'm you can tell I'm in a low frequency. Now I'm in that high frequency again. And it probably just has to do with the cycle of the earth. I mean, you know, when the sun goes away, we're
Yeah.
going to be sadder. When it comes back up, you know, because we're about to hit the equinox, we get vibrant again. So I think we're just going with the
These are
natural cycle.
ebb and flows of our reality.
Mhm.
Yeah, these are natural ebb and flows of our reality. And not to go, too deep or personal, but the past couple of years have been like, so like, so difficult. I've had a lot of personal trials, and I just came through, like, the past month has been even worse. And I really don't even know where this energy is coming from, but I'm just going to take it and ride with it. You guys know a lot about what I've been going through, and I don't want to get too personal, but us starseeds, we some tough mother mofos. We really are, and I've learned so much in the last 2 years from all those difficulties and all of those mistakes that I look back now and I don't regret it, even though I have suffered physically, mentally, and spiritually on levels that would have just crushed people to suicide. But I'm here, like I'm still here. So I still have like this purpose to fulfill.
I totally feel you.
And
there have been times in my life when I mentioned it earlier. There were times I should have offed myself 10 times over, and then I should have probably been dead 100 times over from the shit that we were doing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still here and more vibrant than I've been in a long time. And so I think it's just like we've been waiting for this time, because now is the time for this next chapter, this next sequence in the Matrix reset process for us, and super excited to be back on the ball. I know when I say stuff like that, the flat earthers are like, oh my God,
on
the ball.
The sphere. The globe.
To be back on the frequency.
So
I think everybody can agree about frequency.
Yeah, because despite my immense battle that I just won, like annihilated within my own self, like conquering addiction. I just did that. I conquered a 6-year addiction, and I have to say I got a little gold star on the jacket, but I ain't gonna brag or anything like that.
Good for you. Congratulations.
I'm gonna share a little story that. Thank you. I'm recovering. I'm not feeling vibrant yet.
You know, if I can say this, this is actually a lot bigger than people make it out to be, because when you struggle with something like that, you really go through some shit, and it takes a lot of will to go through something like that. So a lot of people will just look at it and go, oh, you know, somebody got through addiction, et cetera. So no. It is difficult to go through something like that. And it takes an extreme amount of strength, and it takes out so many people, and only a few make it through. You were one that made it through. So I commend you for that. And I think people need to understand the gravity of going through something like that.
That's the title of my book. She just kept going through.
Nice.
So here's a beautiful story. I'll share an experience that has nothing to do with all of my battles, all of my trials, and what a warrior I am. I'm not going to wave my ego around like that. But I do have a couple of good books in me, and eventually I will do that. So a roommate of mine left his, left the house and left his mom, and everything, and took, got a wife and a family now, and whatever. And so I went into his room to clean up, because I was going to make that into a studio for a YouTube channel I was doing, but had canceled that all out. That's another story for a different time. But there was a turtle in a plastic tank in dirty water that no creature should live in. I was like, there's a living creature in that thing. I stopped and I was like, what the hell is it? It was a turtle. He had abandoned the turtle to die in a plastic container.
Oh my God.
I said, no, this is unacceptable. And it was just about to be fall, so I knew the cold was coming. And I looked it up. He was a yellow belly slider. And I knew that he wasn't going to make it if I released him. So I spent the money on the tanks, the filters. I went out to the creek and got him some rocks and set him up right with the lights and everything, and the food he's going to need, and, all this stuff, and fed him crickets and stuff. And I took care of him. I fostered him. I named him Philby. And I could hear the turtle in the tank going, let me out of here. This dude had taken this turtle from Florida in the wild and just abandoned him to die. I mean, he had him for 15 years, but at the end, he was just going to let this animal suffer and die. He's just a turtle, right? But to me, it's more than that. And so I fostered this turtle, but yesterday, I've been telling this turtle for a month as he's looking at me through the tank going, what's happening? Are you going to take me? I'm like, yes, I'm going to set you free. I promise. It's just got to be the right time. So right now is the right time. I felt called to pull him out of his tank, take him down to the sunny patch of creek where I know the minnows run thick.
Oh.
And I set Philby free with so much compassion. Like, I felt like I'm getting shivers and tingles talking about this, because I took care of him for quite a little moment there and kind of bonded with this little turtle. And I let him out on the hot rocks and the sun was shining. It was just a gorgeous day, and it was just like heaven. And I felt like this overwhelming compassion. It was like a metaphor for my own freedom of setting myself free and just continuing to set myself free from things that no longer serve me. And I let this turtle go, He went right into the water and caught a minnow almost the same size as his shell. So it took him about 10 minutes. Yeah, it took him about
I was
10
thinking,
minutes,
you know, as
I
you
knew
said
his
that, I
instincts
was
were gonna
thinking
kick
this is a
in.
metaphor for your journey.
Yeah.
And you said it like right when I was thinking
really-
it. We're
Yeah, me
totally in the
too.
same frequency.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was so beautiful. Like, I'm trying not to cry. But it took him about 10 minutes to catch it. But I knew that if he could get into the wild and hunt, that he was going to be okay because he was born free and wild, and so was I. You know, like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I try not to cry. But can you imagine if every single being on this planet had that level of empathy and compassion for each other? I asked a friend of mine that, and they said, if everyone was like that every day, we would have paradise on earth.
Oh, that is beautiful. And I've seen these memes pop up on Facebook, but they just reflect what I feel. You can judge a person by how they treat animals. And
yes.
And the other thing that I always live by is I judge a person by how they treat the CEO and how they treat the janitor. And if they treat the CEO better than they treat the janitor, they're not a good person.
No. Oh, yes. That's always been my philosophy from like out the gate. Is I treat everyone with the same integrity, even if they don't have the same integrity or the same morals or the same frequencies and things like that. I'm still just I treat people as good as I am, not as good as they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't measure it by how they are, I measure it by how I am. What my capacity is to show integrity, compassion, and empathy. You know, it really just it's all on your shoulders how that is. But it was the most beautiful. Like,
it's a beautiful story. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to share this with you. I had a snake for, you know, I just wanted a snake for my friends. A friend of mine had a snake. I wanted one too. And I would feed it mice. And the first couple mice, you know, I thought I would get over it, you know, watching a mouse be eaten. And I wouldn't like sit there and watch, but I just thought it would be, you know, get over it. And just, that's part of having a snake. And then one day we got this little mouse, put it in the snake thing. He ran right up to the snake and cuddled up with the snake. And I was like, oh, he doesn't know what's going to happen. Then the snake tried to bite him, and he couldn't get a grip of him. And he ran to the other side, and then he was cuddling with the snake the next day. And then he tried again to eat him, and he ran across it, then he was cuddling up with the snake again. And I was like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I traded the snake to somebody for a bunny rabbit. I gave the bunny rabbit to the